Welcome everyone to our spiritual training for this evening. We're just going to share the screen because as before, we do have a slideshow. Just to let you know as well, this is going to be the final training session this evening of the spiritual group before we go into making this kind of more of a spiritual circle. So from next month onwards, it's going to have a very simple format because you'll have had all the training you need to come in and work and use the circle as you would need. And so tonight's training is going to be imperative in terms of giving you some tools to help you in the circle next month. But from then on, we're going to be running a very simple circle. So we'll be having a development section, a guidance section, and a healing section in the circle. So, and past the circle is going to be closed. And what that means is that the circle where it's likely to contain private information or the sharing of private information around guidance will not be recorded. So for those of you who want to benefit from the circle and the element of practice, because coming onto circles really does kind of help hone your skills and get you better and better at taking guidance, at healing, at, adding new tools to your toolkit. So you'll need to come on live if you want to benefit from the full circle, because we won't be recording the full circle just because of the private, the elements where we might be sharing private information within the circle. What goes in the circle stays in the circle. So this evening, we're going to have a small element of that in terms of guidance and showing you how to take guidance from your guide, but also how to take guidance from someone else's guide on their behalf. And during that particular section of this evening, we won't be recording because then we want to create a safe environment where what goes on in the circle stays in the circle, in case, we don't want YouTube to be publishing and sharing it with everybody. So we are kind of conscious of that, and we'll be letting you know when it's recording and not recording. So at the moment it's recording, and all the training we'll be sharing is open for public view. But when we come into working together as a circle, we're going to stop the recording and tell you when that happens. Okay, so we're now sharing the screen. So thank you all. So if you haven't already, we're looking for you to have your dowsing tools with you this evening, and also either some oracle or angel cards or a book or a newspaper, something, or a magazine, something with writing in that will help us take guidance later on. So we're just going to go into the group protection. So let me just see if I can, that's it, lovely. So if you can all for me go into neutral. So you should know how to go into neutral now, bringing soul self forwards and connecting with your guide and making sure that your protection is in place, your sphere of light at least is in place around you as we just get started. So you can do that for me first of all. Okay, so hopefully, let's have a look through. We're ready in that position. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to just imagine for me for a moment that we're all coming together in the same space with our guides beside us. And as we come together and form a circle, holding hands and linking in together to form that circle, we can imagine that the light and energy of us all is merging in front of us in the center of that circle. And that's bringing together the light and power of one. So as we close the circle and the light and energy of all of us merges as one, and we're visualizing what we think that looks like in the center of the circle, as we start to move the energy and light of the circle around in a clockwise direction, I'm going to place the protections upon the circle. So energy permission to place a source energy shield and cloak and celestial team protection over this entire circle, protecting the circle from all forms of low energy and cross-dimensional interference, protecting all energies created from within the group and all persons involved in receiving and using that energy. Allow into the circle only those with permission and consent to be here. And energy permission to connect with the Galactic Council. And to the Galactic Council, I seek your protection for this circle formed and all energetic activities it undertakes. Please keep us all safe and secure within that. Okay, so now visualizing once more the center of the circle and the light and the power of one as it moves around inside in a clockwise direction. We're going to ground the light and power of one, so energy permission to ground this light and power of one. And for those of you that want to experience the power of the circle right through you, repeating these words of alchemy in your head and after me, energy permission to channel the light and power of one through me right now, as in you, from head to toe. And really feel that energy and light really coming through you, making sure, of course, that you're grounded and anchored. So seeing those roots of energy shoot from the soles of your feet and into the ground, and your energy passing down those roots and into the ground, and the energy of the ground passing up those roots and into you, and the light of your chi passing down into the earth grid and plugging in fully and completely as the earth elements are now drawn into your light body, acclimatizing and anchoring you to this environment and this safe place. And when you feel ready, now fully plugged in, fully protected, fully involved in the circle, can open your eyes and come back into the room. That's lovely. Fantastic. So over to you, Barbara.
So we thought that it was a nice place where to start tonight. It is the first night tonight we are running this group, and as Claire mentioned, it's going to change in format from next month. And it was a nice place, I thought, where we can pause and see what we've done so far, particularly after the very good enlightening workshop last week with Jim and Summer. I know that Christopher's was there, but I'm not sure if any other of you were there. It was really, really good. And it gave me so much pride seeing that we work very, very similarly. We have share a lot of way we work, and what struck me was really they were talking about neutrality, how is important for you and work with your guides, and including myself and Claire, of course, is to be in a place of neutrality. And we've been banging on from day one about the importance of being in neutral. And that for us is bringing soul self in a place in the center, and we shut down, we close all the head chatter. That's And I was asking actually myself because Jim and Summer, they are obviously very accomplished practitioners, and they seems to be doing it very easily. But for the majority of people, including myself, when I started this work, although I have a very strong intuition, it was really difficult staying in the place where I didn't have the head chatter or, the fears. It took a long time to build up the confidence and a lot of work. So I thought that it was worth mentioning tonight. We also looked so far how we can ground ourselves, how we anchor our energy and light to the earth plate. We looked at the amazing components of an alchemy formula and how work energetically with alchemy. We looked at last time. And we are going to go through again how to connect with our guides through our dowsing tools, whether it is muscle testing, rods, or pendulum. We all have our strength in there. And yes, we looked at how to look at measuring the energies in our property, how to use the energy of Gaia, sending it. And I thought, yeah, it is a nice place to pause and see. We covered quite a lot, and we are really in a very good place to move on from today and start really building up the confidence we've been working on so far. And I shall pass it over to Claire.
So tonight, it's all about helping you prepare to take guidance from your own guides or to take guidance via somebody else's guide. Because at the end of the day, your own spirit guide will know you the best. So my spirit guide could try and give you some guidance about yourself, but it wouldn't be half as good, perhaps even a quarter as good as your own guide. So when you're taking guidance for other people, and perhaps this is something that you quite fancy doing and having a go at, perhaps it's something you want to practice and get better at outside of this. Perhaps you only really want to take guidance for yourself. Understanding how we take guidance and getting more than the yes and no, which is what tonight's all about. Dowsing is an amazing tool, and you've got to be a master questioner to get all the detail with yes and no's. Whereas we can show you tonight how to make it easy for yourselves to get much more than a yes and no and not have to be a master questioner. So we're going to be looking at that, and that's why we've asked you to have the cards, sets and the books or newspapers ready so we can show you how that works. And obviously, you can increase your own toolkit. So the things that you haven't actually got at home that you quite fancy after tonight, there's a few things we would recommend, and we'll tell you as we go what we would think about adding to your toolkits at home. So names, why does it matter? Because ultimately spirit really isn't about names. Ultimately they don't really, names are not an issue for spirit. However, as humans, names are an issue for us. We love labels. Humans love labels. It's what we're used to. And spirit actually is very happy to accommodate us. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, from Formula One race driver to actresses, to musicians, to teachers, to everyday, people on the street. I've worked with a lot of people, and I've not yet had one spirit guide who's refused to give me a name. So that's something we're going to be looking at this evening, because ultimately the reason we've put a little bit of importance on this is because we feel, and a lot of the people I work with feel, that it helps you to build a bond with your guide. If you understand there's a name that they're presenting by, it doesn't have to be their actual name, it's just a name they're happy to present as, then it does help us as a human to build a bond and to, you know, have our intention set towards the right person or the right being, the right individual. So that's why we're going to be looking at names, and we're going to be looking at helping you to ascertain the name of your own guide as part of this evening. We're doing a lot tonight. Not only that, we're going to be helping you understand your origins, which is a really interesting and exciting part of this evening, as well as being able to take guidance for yourself and for other people. So we're going to be finding out a little bit about how long your guide's been with you, how long your relationship's been going on, and we're going to just be finding out a little bit more about the setup that supports you. And obviously this is philosophy, yes, but with the dowsing tool, you know, I think the dowsing tool is a fantastic evidential tool personally. And I have a high level of evidential criteria, always have done, in terms of working with spirit and working intuitively. And I think the dowsing for me really does help to make it very tangible. So I'm hoping this evening that with the information that we glean together, you know, for ourselves, and through the method of dowsing enables you to have a bit of tangibility behind it. We're also going to be giving you a demo. I'm going to be giving you a demo of channeling later on to show you what sits beyond dowsing and what dowsing can take you towards. When we're working with our guides, it's important for us to set boundaries, and that's something to consider. So we don't want our guides waking us up at 2 a.m. to give us guidance. And perhaps we don't want our guides to interrupt us while we're talking to other people, unless the house is burning down, obviously. So there's all kinds of boundaries to be set up and thought about when we're working and building our bond together, because if you intend to work with your guide a lot, potentially on a daily basis, you know, this bond is really important. It's a real privilege, I think, to have such a relationship and bond with another being in this way. And I think we're all very privileged to have the ability to access this relationship through these tools that we're sharing. And it's important that we're showing you how to do it. Barbara alluded earlier to a fantastic presentation she saw, and that's brilliant. And when I was young in my development myself, I kept hearing people say, well, you do this and you do that, but they didn't tell me how to do it. No one was telling me how. It's all very well going into neutral, but how do I go into neutral? It's all very well talking to my spirit guide, but how do I talk to my spirit guide? You know, and hopefully what we're tackling here with you in these trainings is the how to, because I feel quite passionate about that, and not just people saying, well, you just do this. Well, but how do I do that? It doesn't come naturally to everybody, this kind of relationship, but I strongly believe that everybody has the ability to build it. You just got to be shown what to do and how to do it. So that's what we're going to be hopefully helping you guys with, you know, from these training sessions, but also then from the practice circle, which gives you a chance in a safe environment to get stronger with what we've taught you already. So we're also going to recommend that from tonight, with the guidance method that we're sharing with you, that you add it into a bit of daily housekeeping. Taking guidance from your guide is, again, a real privilege, and it can set you up for the rest of the day. So when you take guidance from your guide, it can give you real confidence that you're on the right track, going in the right direction with the right people, you know, doing the right things. And if you're not, it gives you the opportunity to correct it. So this kind of daily guidance can really help you, you know, massively on a day-to-day basis with really practical decisions and choices in life. And it's about building your confidence and trust in that relationship that allows you to trust it enough to act upon it. And that's what you're at the beginning of. You know, you're not going to instantly trust the relationship you have with your guide just from what we're doing today or what we've done over the last 4 months, because it takes longer than that. It's something you've got to practice. The more air miles you get, you know, in between these sessions that we're doing, the more confident you'll get, the stronger that relationship and that trust will build to a point when you can let your guide take the lead. I was in a professional career, you know, working for the police force for 22 years, and it was entirely through guidance that I left that career and pension that I hadn't finished at 22 years. it entirely, it was entirely that guidance that drew me out of the police and into eventually, I didn't know I was going to be doing what I'm doing now, but eventually into what I'm doing now. And, that was because I trusted wholly the information I was being given. And at the time, I was the main wage earner. I had a family, and, it wasn't an easy career just to up and leave and move on to something completely different. So it was, it was an incredible time. It took me many, many months and much, much guidance to get me to that point where I did. And thank God I did, because, it's given me and my family 8 extra years together of having, quality time together that I wouldn't have had being another 8 years in the police. So, guidance is something that we're going to try and build your trust. The tangibility in the dowsing is great at building trust, and that's what I really love about the dowsing tool. Obviously, there's other ways to communicate with your guides, and that's what lies beyond the dowsing. But, we're focusing on the dowsing for this level. And if you want to go on to do other things, there are routes there for you. But this is a very tangible layer to build your trust and confidence with. So just moving on to the next slide. And I think, Barbara, you're going to help them look at their guide's name.
Yeah. So we are going to, I need to watch just if there are people entering. So we are going to start now with how to go into neutral. We've already done and covered it, and we know the importance of just being in a place where we have those head chatter stopping, telling us, so we can start building this relationship with our guides and start getting more trust in our proper dowsing, whether we are going to use it, muscle testing or the pendulum. So if you would like all for me, please, to go in the place of neutral, and the formula is on the screen. Just setting yourself a moment to relax, to take a deep breath and ask energy permission for my soul self to step forwards and see what it looks like for you. Imagine this, your soul just stepping forward in a place where you are free from head chatter, where you feel safe, you feel grounded. And while you do so, if you done so, you would also like to ask energy permission to connect to my main guide, please. And while you do so, you can start using your dowsing, your pendulum or muscle testing to ascertain your guides is with you. Yeah. And from the slides, we've done this already. There are, we know that we might not always stay in the neutral. We might jump out. If you feel like you haven't got the connection with your guides right now, I'll suggest you go back and repeat the exercise, because it's very likely that it didn't happen, if it is the case. And how we do it, oh gosh, this one is the slides. Okay, and we start using the pendulum. You are all dowsers, so I'm not going to tell you how to do it. You've got, so you probably, what is mine? Your yes, mine is going round. Your no is back and forth. I haven't got a maybe. That's how I work. So it doesn't do for me maybe, but that is your session. While we do muscle testing, I am a kinesiologist, and like intuition, like dowsing, muscle testing requires training. So if we did it, I think the first or the second session. If you interlock your finger, if you haven't done this before, that is like a knot, and you have to train it is all muscle memory. You say, show me a yes. This one is a yes. My finger do not unlock, and show me a no. It is automatically leaving. And that is the way you train with muscle testing. And to double check again, my name is Barbara. I live in London. I don't. I live in Glastonbury. I am Canadian. Did not. I was born in Italy, and I can pull and pull. It doesn't unlock. So that is your test. When you want to get practice with muscle testing, just test with very strict, firm answers. You know your yes, you know your no. It's the same when we dowse with our pendulum. Okay, so now we are going to start practice that. Okay, if you have any question, just raise your electronic hand and we'll take the question for you. So okay, no questions. So what are we going to do now? We are going to use this menu that Claire created for us in order to start getting the name of our guides. I like working with my guides. I got quite a few, like probably like Claire, and they all, it's really the passion and the bond using their names. So what we are going to do with the pendulum or muscle testing, and you can use both. If you are not sure about one, you are more confident with the other, please use by any means the other tool to double check. Okay, if you want to use your pendulum, fine, and then you can try and get the guidance, practice, and the muscle dowsing, muscle training, muscle memory with this. So we, first of all, your main guide, you want to make sure your main guide is with you. And what we are going to ask is maybe how many letters has got the name. We might say, where's my pendulum? My guide has got number of letter is 9. It is certainly a knot because I know how many there are. So it is between 1 and 5. No, 1 and 6. It is a 6. So you want to start with the first letter. How do we do? Sorry, I've got two screens. I'm getting confused. With the screen you've got on the screen, you may want to start asking. The first letter of the name of my guide is in the top of the screen, or it is in the bottom down of the screen, or on the left or on the right. Or maybe you can simply use your pendulum and hovering above each single triangle where the letters are contained. And you do it until you are content. You've got your name. So you've got your first letter, it is in one triangle, second letter, third letter, and by then you should be able to form the name of your main guide.
And just to add to that as well, just use simple language with your guide. Like, I really like to know what name you'd prefer to be, known by or presented as. Can you help me? And
Yeah.
just so don't assume always that they know what you want.
That's a good point. And if you have any question or need clarification, and by any means note it down.
And also don't worry if they're not conventional names, if they're names you've never heard of before or spout strangely. Don't worry about that. That's not uncommon.
It's very likely though. It's
Mhm.
I got a very strange word, 5-letter word. It is Z-U-I-O-G.
sorry. Okay.
Z-U-I-O-G.
Yes.
Okay. Can you ask if there's a silent Z?
I'm sorry.
Can you ask your guide if it's a silent Z?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you ask if you pronounce it? I was gonna have a go.
How?
Can you just try? Is it pronounced Ewell? Ewell,
You-O. You-O. You-O.
and see if you get a yes.
Not perfect, but yes.
Yeah, not perfect. I like that. Not perfect, but yes, brilliant. Yeah, lovely. Sometimes you get silent letters, and when you look at them and think, "Holy moly!"
I think U-O-N-G should be like a U-O-G,
You- Say again.
right? U-O-G.
Ewell, Ewell.
Is that sounds okay?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's um there's names that I've never heard of before constantly coming through as the names of guys that are presenting. So yes, I mean I don't dismiss anything. I just go with it is what I'd say. Go with it. And over time, if you decide to develop further and go into audibles, then you'll hear it. You'll hear them pronounce it.
Okay.
So or come to someone like me and or Barbara and we'll hear them pronounce it. So
Sure.
yeah, yeah. But it gives you a good starter.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you will.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Somebody
So
had a question, didn't they?
Oh, really? Why do they?
In the chat box.
Okay.
So Suzanne, my guy's name is HTB. How would you pronounce that? I would have, again, I would have a go and I'd sort of say, do you pronounce it as Heteb? 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 Just have a go and see if you get a yes or a no, I think, Susan. It might be that there's, a letter missing or a way to pronounce those letters in a different way to the human way. So just have a go at Heteb. And if you don't get it right, ask, do you mind if I call you Heteb or pronounce it Heteb just until I find out how to pronounce it properly? Would that be okay? Brilliant.
Right. I think we should be moving on.
Yeah. So has everybody got something or other? Has there been any? Yeah, Rob's putting thumbs up. Jill, Alison, brilliant.
Ashok, Jerry.
Yeah, I got
Jerry,
Brilliant.
great.
Yep.
Christopher's having a right good go by the looks of it still, and Jean's been hard at it.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, she's got one more letter. Yeah, hang on. So my main guide's called Darren, and that's a very conventional name. But when I was first using audibles with Darren, so I went into audibles before dowsing. So I could hear my guide before I could douse. So I did it back to front. But so my guide was called Darren, and he gave me a simple name. His name's a lot more complex than that, his real name. But he gave me a simple name to start with that I could, I was familiar with. And but I've always known him as Darren, so I can't change it now. And everyone knows him as Darren. So he's Darren. But I have other guides who have much more complex names as well. Okay. So hopefully we're ready to move on. So questions. So with your dowsing tools, now hopefully we've got a name. If not, we can perhaps finish that later after the session. We're going to be asking these questions of your guide, your main guide, who you've got the name for. So with your dowsing tool, can we ask them these questions? Are they presenting as a masculine energy or a feminine energy? Because beings can be both. So if we've had past lives, the philosophy is we can have been a male or a female, an opposite. But we want to know what they're presenting as now for us. So are they presenting as masculine or are they presenting as feminine? Really, you've only got to ask the one question. Okay, we should have the answer there. Next question. Have they been with you since birth? That's your birth here. So have you been with me since birth? And if they haven't, how long have they been with you? So, and I would go in increments of years. So have they been with you more than 10 years, more than 20, more than 30? I would try that.
I got 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Wow, Neil, that's impressive. That's so you've had a change of guide. That's interesting.
I've had 2 other guides, but I've recently picked up a new one.
Okay. And they're now acting as your main guide.
I believe so, because I think because I've had a change of career, let's say.
Yeah.
I think she's here to help me spiritually.
Amazing. Okay. Well, that would account for it because most guides, main guides, will be with you since birth on the
Yeah.
majority, not everybody. But
The
there's
others
always,
have.
if there's an additional guide or a replacement, it's always for a very good reason. And that would be reason enough for someone else to come in and step in and take over sort of the main stuff. Okay. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Neil. It's a good
Okay.
example. Everybody else getting somewhere with theirs.
For me, it is 12 years.
How many years, Ashok?
12.
12 years. Yeah. Okay. And so if you had a change of guide, like Ashok, maybe about, however long it is, and just as Neil has kind of exampled, was it for a particular reason? And sometimes the reason might not be a change of career. It could be for something like you were going down the wrong path and the guide that was with you wasn't successful in helping you find the right path. So the guide was actually changed to, and so it could be for safety reasons. It could be that you got yourselves into a pickle. Perhaps some people have a change of guide when they're younger and are getting in a bit of a pickle with life. And that's generally to help them be safer and to find the right path for them because they're going, completely away from where they should be. So guides generally change for a very good reason. Otherwise, I know my guide, for instance, has been with me since birth. Barbara, is yours? Can't remember.
Yeah.
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 I would be mortified if my guide just disappeared. I've got extra guides that come along all the time and help, but I've got such a strong bond. I would be absolutely bereft if my guide went, having been with him for 30 years. So, okay, lovely. So they keep asking some questions. Have you travelled with each other before? So have you travelled with each other before? That's going on the philosophy of having other lifetimes. Is that something that you're open to? Oh, Christopher's having a right good confirmation yawn then. Just be aware of yawns and burps because that can also be a sign of confirmation. Not that you're tired, but actually a sign of confirmation. Okay. And just confirm with them, are they a part of your soul group? Now, your soul group is a group of higher selves. So this is the philosophy that your soul is a fragment of your higher self, because your higher self is too high a frequency for the physical human body. So a part of the higher self comes into the human body, which is the soul. And the soul group is a group of higher selves that you're traveling with. The philosophy being that you're traveling with and you support each other in various ways to help each other learn and grow and ascend in these different lifetimes and support each other. It could be family, could be friends, could be colleagues, could be people you don't actually, you've never met in the physical, and it could be spirit guides because your spirit guides generally are part of your soul group. So are they a part of your soul group? If anybody has additional guides, like healing guides, if you've done Reiki or you've been attuned to any other healing modalities, these are not soul group guides. Healing guides are completely different to the guides that we're talking about right now. These are soul group guides who are here to support your highest interests and your purpose. Okay. And let's ask them the question as well, are they from the same origins as you? We're going to be doing something about origins this evening. So are they from the same origins as you? That's going on the philosophy that your origins are elsewhere other than this planet. Okay. It's usual that we've got at least 2 soul group guides with us. Our main guide and our gatekeeper guide. And we talked about gatekeeper before. So your gatekeeper also can have a name because we like them to have a name. But we can do that and find out their name another time. But that's something that you can do at home away from the session. I'm burping as I'm talking. So I'm basically confirming, agreeing with myself, which I do a lot. Oh, and Christopher's yawning. Christopher's a bit of a yawner there, Barbara.
Yeah.
Just like you. Barbara's a yawner. Okay, so we'll find out the gatekeeper's guide's name another time, but you now know how to do it. You have the tools to do it. Okay, so moving on, Barbara. So a little bit of philosophy now about our origins before we look at finding out a bit more about your origins, because I've got a list. We're going to douse it to see your origins. So a little bit of philosophy. So bearing in mind, this is guided from spirit. I've learned all of that I'm teaching you and that Barbara and I are teaching you all come from spirit directly. I haven't learned this from another human. And the philosophy I'm going to share with you is also from them, but you've got to make up and form your own beliefs. This is how I work with this understanding and belief. But what I advise is use it as a starting point. You can use your dowsing tools to, check and confirm on this belief or on your own beliefs, anytime you wish. So the philosophy is that as a planet, this is going back a very long time, pre-Ice Age, a very, very long time, long ago. The philosophy is that there are other planets with other species of being on them throughout the universe. And they have different levels of frequency. They have different, so some of them are physical, some of them are energetic and light beings, but there is a real mix. And the philosophy is that these beings are elementals, what we call nature-born elementals. And the issue with elementals is that they have a short lifespan. This is very important to the philosophy I'm going to share. So the Earth apparently was left alone for a very long time by, most everyone. And it was the Arcturians and the Pleiadians that first had another look at Earth after a while, and they saw that there'd been some evolution. Nature had evolved on this planet, and that the starting points of a human had become visible. They started to realize that the humans had a much longer lifespan than the other species off planet because they had a different genetic makeup. And so there started the blending process where they started to blend the human body with the elementals of planet, and hence through various, over a very long period of time and various generations, the majority of the people on this planet now are blended genetically from that original discovery and experiment, I suppose, because this planet was at that time alone in this position in terms of them blending anyway and finding the human genetic system. There are purebred humans, I'm told, still on the planet, and they are specific groups of people that you could recognize through various traits, which I'm not going to share on this medium, but there are very recognizable human traits from purebred humans who are very highly protected, I'm told. But genetically, the majority of the planets, I'm told, also is blended. So you're a blended human hybrid. So you're part human and part perhaps of another race off planet. And that's to lengthen the lifespan of these other species off planet, these other races. And this is something that's all coordinated and overseen by the Galactic Council, Galactic Federation, which is, again, another place people like myself and Barbara have a connection to consciously, and when we're working on very specific projects and with specific people. So that's kind of a very basic philosophy as to why that matters. Origins, who are we? You know, where have we emanated from? Are we purebred humans? Are we hybrid humans? And so I would argue that everybody probably on here this evening will be a hybrid human. So if we can move on to the next slide, we can use our dowsing tools, obviously, to determine if that's the case, or if Claire's talking a lot of rubbish, because that's the brilliant thing about dowsing, is that it helps you as a tangible method of determining the accuracy of people that you're listening to, reading about. You know, if you want to read a book, how accurate is the author? That's something I always check before I read a book, especially if it's something about spirituality, a very subjective matter. So I have an origins checklist here. This isn't the full checklist of the whole universe, by the way. This is the most common hybrids, I'm told, that are present and mixed with humans here on the planet. And it's possible that you are a hybrid human, that you're hybrid with one of these or more than one of these on the list. Now, I'm a Palladian human hybrid. Barbara, what are you? You're Palladian as well. It doesn't mean that everyone's Palladian, by the way. Far from it. I have a one-to-one client base of about 60 people I see at any one time every month. And they are a right good mix of all of those. So in terms of hybrids. So I'd like you to just have a go for yourself. If it's something you're open to having a look at and you'd like to have a look at, please feel free. And go down the list and find out from your guide if you're a hybrid with any of those on the list, and see how you get on. If you get a positive with one of them, don't think it's, you can ask the question, are there any others? Because it might be that it's more than one. Okay. So obviously you have a biological human parents, but this is about your light code DNA. This is about your spiritual origins. This is not obviously your physical origins, it's your spiritual origins.
But how will we verify that our answer is right?
So so have you've got yourself an answer, Ashok?
I
Yeah,
got
are you
two
still in?
answers. It is Arcturian and Agathian.
So you're Arcturian.
Yeah, and Agathian.
Agarthian. Oh, okay. That is it's a common mix actually, Arcturian and Agarthian.
Okay.
Arcturians are like the what kind of job do you have like an infrastructure kind of job?
I'm basically an electrical engineer. I worked in the industry for some time, but now since 1997, I'm into aura reading and dowsing and healing, etc.
Okay, so Arcturians typically on this planet tend to be involved in infrastructure work-wise. So as an engineer, I would argue that that would count if that's your background. So Arcturians are well known for being involved, because they were one of the first here. The Arcturians and the Palladians really kind of set everything up with how it is at the moment. So yes. Now then, if you're in neutral, so if you test if you're in neutral, Ashok, if you're in neutral, it means you're detached from mind and ego. And therefore, I would suggest if you're channeling your guide, you can trust it. Because if you're in neutral, you're detached from interference, you're directly channeling your guide's energy, that would, for me, would be reliable. If you can do muscle testing as well as dowsing, muscle
do that.
testing might act as a double checker for you, a method of double check. Yeah. You can also do it vibrationally, a double check. So if you say to your guide, can you channel through me, as in you, and show me what a yes feels like, feels like, you should get kind of a woohoo kind of feeling inside, a vibrational feeling inside. And you can say to your guide, am I actually an Arcturian and an Argathian, hybrid human? And you could get to double check again. If you're a neutral, you can look for the uplifting feeling as another method of double checking. Okay. How's everybody else got on? Anybody else happy to share?
I've got an Arcturian and Maldek.
Arcturian again, so Arcturian infrastructure. Maldek, I don't come across many Maldeks actually, but the Maldeks I come across are all blended with another. To be fair, I've never had any pure sort of Maldek human. So but these are all species and races that you can look up online, but I would check the accuracy when you're Googling. Authors and people that share information about these places or the people of these places, check their accuracy. So use your dowsing tool, connect with your guide to check that, is this information I'm being shown here accurate? Or on a percentage, I like my scales. On a percentage of 1 to 100%, how accurate is this article? Is it 70% accurate, lower, higher? And just so that's important. It just helps you kind of not go down a rabbit hole, I think, with it.
The Arcturian, did you say that they were like that they were like architects building and things like that?
All that, and anything, you tend to find that the people who are Arcturian tend to be involved in infrastructural kind of work, employment.
I've been involved in that.
You have?
I was.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. It's very common. It's one of those things that I just come across all the time. And Spirit said they're drawn towards infrastructure because that, they kind of ultimately started the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Here.
The Maldek. What can you tell me about Maldek?
Well, if you wait till the latter bit, when we come to channeling,
okay,
you can ask me that question and I'll channel you the answer.
Okay.
We'll park that.
Jean had a question. She said,
sorry, Jean.
I've got three.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Lemurian, Panacean, and I think it's Avian, is it? I can't see.
Avian, yeah. Avians are blue.
Blue.
And, yeah, they're blue. The Panaceans are the galactic police.
Oh.
They tend to be like kind of the enforcers. They're known as the enforcers of the universe.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Sorry, G.
Lemurian.
Oh, Lemuria, very special place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you've heard of Atlantis, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, Lemuria is another Atlantis. It tried to learn from Atlantis, but also was destroyed. But it was a very special place. But Lemuria was very heavily involved in the genetic blending process of what's come about from all of us.
Oh, right.
So yeah, very connected to Easter Island on our planet, Easter Island. I'm helping an author write a book at the moment about Easter Island and being a part of all of that. And so I know quite a lot about it. And Lemurians are very heavily involved in it.
All right. That's
Yeah. So you'll find a lot of information about that.
Yeah.
Lemuria you will, Panaceans you won't. Avians you might find some. You'll see some pictures of some avians who are blue.
Rob had a question, Claire.
Oh, yeah,
Hi.
Yep, I got a primary origin of Atlantean with some Arcturian.
Okay, lovely. So obviously Atlantis, you do you know much about Atlantis? There's a lot written about Atlantis, but you've got to check the accuracy of it. But it was kind of like the ideal, I suppose, ideal place. It was where there was freedom and growth and very intelligent, advanced technology, I suppose, Atlantis, but was destroyed. And
That ties in with my own personal background. I tend to fix high technology stuff.
oh, really? Well, that fits in with you being an Arcturian as well, with infrastructure, because that's all the high tech stuff is infrastructural, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, that's a good mix of the two. So Arcturus is the planet for an Arcturian. Yeah, so there's a lot written about Arcturians. You're in good company. There's a few Arcturians on here, actually, isn't there? There's quite a few. How many other Arcturians out of interest are there on here? You put your hands up for me.
Ashok,
Um,
Neil, Rob.
yeah, there's a few. There's a few. No, interesting. Any other? Go on, Neil. Oh, you're putting Arcturian. No, that's lovely. So hopefully, if you haven't had time to have a proper look at the list, you can always take a screenshot or a photograph of it. Feel free. But I think it's something you can go off and research and look up about yourself, which I think is you'll see potentially a lot of traits. It'll help you explain like your inner personality, your spiritual personality, potentially why it is that you're drawn to certain things and you've been drawn towards a certain career, etc. Go on, Linda.
If you're like I'm a Vesuvian, does that mean that my children and my parents, relatives, grandparents will all be the same?
No, because that's so you're talking about biological parents, aren't you? Yeah, so biological parents and grandparents, they could be, and they'll be part of your soul group. So it might be that you will travel together because you're Venusian. But it doesn't mean you all have to be Venusian. So biologically, obviously, your parentage is different to your spiritual parentage. Is a philosophy we're looking at. So, but because your soul group, generally you have an agreement with your parents, your grandparents are generally in the same soul group, and your children, so that the first generations either side of parents and also siblings tend to be in your soul group, the higher selves, and that you agree to, be their child or be their parent or be their sister or whatever, to help them, for a particular reason. But so it's possible that you've come together because you're from the same origins, but not absolutely necessary. It's not absolutely necessary that you have to be. If that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
It's my understanding.
Yeah.
Can I chuck in a quick one? Algathian, the last one, Algathian.
Algathian. Yeah, they tend to be more like, or you're like this, Christopher. They tend to be more the god-like, like the Greek god-like.
Nice.
Yeah, the goddesses kind of that kind of background. If you, again, there's stuff you can read up about Agarthians. So are you only Agarthian?
That's one I could only pick up, but I need to spend more time, I think, looking through the list.
Okay, because on it is I tend to get a blend with Agarthians. They're not just Agarthians. The Agarthians seem to get about a bit.
Quite.
Yeah. So brilliant. David. Oh, David, you're on mute. Sorry.
Hold on.
You're still on mute, David. Hang on.
Yeah, how do I do this?
David can press on mute, or you can press him to
yeah,
that's it, he's on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Palladium and Atlantean.
Oh, brilliant. So Palladian, you're in good company with me and Barbara. So Palladian, the Pleiades. So when you look at all the pyramids and everything, they're all aligned to the Pleiades, star system wise. So the Pleiadians were, with the Arcturians, were like the first, supposedly the first here, and creating the civilization as it is now. And Atlantis, again, a very high-tech, forward-thinking civilization, an ideal civilization that was destroyed. And there's different opinions about where Atlantis was, whether it's on this planet or off this planet. But yeah, so Atlantis, plenty written about Atlantis. Patricia Corrie is a very good, reliable author around Atlantis and Sirius. And I've had a session with her, and she was she picked up a lot of instant things about me that you know, aren't easy to see. So I was impressed with her. So Patricia Corrie is an author to look for, but she's certainly done a lot about Atlantis.
Yeah, I've had a lot of meditations and past life memories of Atlantis.
Have you?
I'm
Oh,
working,
amazing.
I'm working with crystals. And
Oh, amazing. Oh, again, crystals.
Yeah,
Crystals are a big Atlantis thing. Yeah, yeah.
I was one of those that left Atlantis before the actual final downfall.
Oh, amazing.
Wow.
Did you go to you might want to ask if you went to Lemuria
yeah,
as well after the downfall. Lemuria and Atlantis are very tied together. But anyway, yes, amazing. Yeah, that's that you can qualify it as well with some past life memories. That's really great. Thanks, David. And Alison, what did you get?
Oh, yeah, hi. I'm apparently Arcturian and Venusian on the list, but I previously did some work with somebody about 7 years ago, and I was told that I was from Procyon, which you can't find a great deal of information about.
No. Have you doused it?
Yeah, I've doused it, and I get a stronger yes for that than the other two. And when I've looked, it is a star. I can't remember whether it's north of the Pleiades or
it might be part of the Pleiades.
It's part of something above there. But basically I left apparently to come to Earth, and then they put the shields up so I can't go home.
Oh, bless
apparently you. On the patchy stuff that I've managed to find. So if anyone's aware of anything around Procyon, I'd be really, really grateful for some enlightenment.
Okay, no, that's really interesting. And again, if I get a chance later, I'm going to do some channeling. We can ask the question.
Yeah. Apparently I'm the princess of Procyon. Certainly doesn't feel like it in this lifetime on this planet.
It's a tough place to be, this planet. Definitely tough place.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, Alison. That's really interesting. Okay, brilliant. So connecting with another guide. Oh, Barbara, did we go past the cards?
It's the next one.
Isn't it before this one? Before.
Oh,
yes.
Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry, I moved forward a bit too fast. Yes. Sorry. Managing all this is a bit of an issue. Okay. So this is mainly to add on to what has been said so far. And it is also to encourage you, if you do not have a practice, an housekeeping, anything that you have and do every single day, that is maybe if you want to start working with your guides more with a structure, is a good place to start. And every morning, everyone is different. Claire is different. I need to sit down. I need to do my protection, be sure everything is set up, and then I do all my bits and pieces, and I start asking for communication. And one of the things I normally do, depending on the intention of the day, or if there is any specific question or just in general, is asking my guides to show me what I need to hear that particular day. This is a method. I also have this pack of cards. It is one of the first as well I bought. I have all loads of cards, and I ask my guides at house, which pack would you like me to pick up if there is any message for me in this, in this, and this. That is the first bit I do. I don't normally use books because I rely more on the guidance. So when you have, for example, found out this pack of cards, for example, which is a very good one, if you haven't got it, it is pretty much accurate. I also discovered recently this one. It is top notch. But this one, it is very good to start with if you haven't got any. So you open it up and you ask your guides, you douse, is it one card from this pack? Is it two? And then again, always double check if you are not sure, particularly at the beginning, and get your card, read it normally comes with a explanation book with that, and you take it, just read it and make it yours. Try, it's not, at times it's very obvious, other times it's less, but it's normally very accurate. So if there is, for example, a message that doesn't seem very relevant, you can always start building up on your questioning menu and ask, is it really what you want to tell me? Is what you want, I want to hear this morning? Ask or if you have any questions, ask them. So if you open up one, where is it? So this one, for example, the garden and the gate, it is about abundance, prosperity, staying safe. I would personally ask, are you telling me I'm on the right journey for abundance, or is a message for me to stay safe? So you start developing and building the relationship you have with your guides. You can, like the slide shows you, you can have more than one. And the beginning of the book, every book normally shows you how to lay a spread of cards. I personally don't do that because I get confused. Is my mind not liking it? So I like simple thing. What do I need to hear today? And that is the message. Again, a time, or you get a book. And because we are talking about origin, I just, by instinctively, I took out this book. Maybe I thought I need. And Barbara Marcianic is an amazing author, if you don't know her. And her channeling is only from the Pleiadians. And it is pretty much accurate. And again, I ask my guides, is this the book? Again, because I've got a few other books. I open it. Can I ask you, is it on the right? This is the right place you want me to go? Is it on the right? It is on the left. Is it at the whole page or just paragraph? So by narrowing it down, you can, it's much easier to get more straight answer or guidance from your guide. And the same you can do with newspaper, according to Claire. I don't know how to do it with newspaper, so presumably it's the same. I've never done it. So.
Barbara, somebody just can we stop sharing the screen for a sec? And can you show them the book what you did? Because somebody just
okay,
they couldn't see because it was on share screen. They couldn't see what you were doing.
Oh, this book?
Yes, but they need to see it on the whole screen. So could we just do the stop share for a moment?
Stop share, okay. And what do I do?
Yeah, so can you just repeat what you did with the book and show them how you would find guidance with your guide in a book that you're drawn to?
Sorry. If I'm guided to get this book, for example, I just intuitively, I can open the page. Let's say I go to page 88 and I ask my guide, is this the page or the pages you want me to look at? and I dowse for a yes or a no. If it's no, I keep looking. Presumably it is a yes. And then I start asking, is it the page on the right you want me to read? There is a message for me on the right? Or is there a message on the left? Or both? It can be both. At that point, you can also narrow it down, asking is it just a paragraph you want me to read? Or a sentence? Is it at the top, at the bottom? It's literally asking question. Is it, and maybe there are more pages you want to look at.
It's the same with a newspaper. So if you had if all you had was a newspaper, you didn't have a pack of cards, you didn't have a book per se to hand, or they drew you towards a newspaper. So this is about just saying to your guide, look, I've got this going on in my life right now. Can you give me some guidance to help me make a choice? Yeah, I'm not sure whether to do this or that, I'm not sure which way to go. Could you help give me some guidance? What's in my highest interest to do? And so can I take some guidance from you, using this book or this newspaper or this pack of cards? If you only had one to hand, if you've got loads, as Barbara says, you can douse to choose, which pack of cards, which book, if you had a whole bookshelf of them. And so same with the newspaper, if it's a newspaper you've got and you're drawn to the newspaper, which page is it, the front of the newspaper, the back, or it might be a matter of, when I use cards, I shuffle the cards and I wait for one to drop out. And I say to the guide, show me which card it is that you want me to choose. And I shuffle until the card kind of tends to pop out, it tends to jump out. And if there's 3 cards that jump out, I say, which card is it? Is it this one, or this one? And then I also ask, are there any more cards? Is there any more information you want me to get from this book or this newspaper? Or is there any more information you want me to get from the cards? Is there another card? And you get a yes or a no. And so you draw out another card or go to another page of the newspaper that you're drawn to, and you get some more information. This is about getting more than the yes and no. This is about getting the paragraph, as Barbara says, or the page in the book that comes with a card, or the sentence, or just perhaps a few words. They wanted to give you a few words that goes there. That's what I want to say, that bit there. So with dowsing, it means you can narrow it down to, that sentence, those few words, in whatever tool you're using, be it cards, newspaper, book, and whatever you have to hand, you can use, and the guides will take you to it. And the great thing, and the thing you get confidence from, is when you read that information and you think, holy moly, that is spot on. That is spot on. Blimey. And it's moments like that, you've got to grab them, because it's building that trust, building that relationship with your guide, which we were talking about earlier. Those moments are really important, because you're then starting to build that trust, and then you start after a while taking action on the back of what you're being guided, however big or small that might be. And I've done, I've made some pretty big and huge changes from guidance, as you know, and also tiny ones. But it's only because I have that level of trust. I trust implicitly. Everything I'm ever taught or shown, nothing's given to me that's a red herring or total rubbish. I'm only ever given stuff that is in my highest interest to have. It's for a reason. And I trust that. So, but it took me a while to do it. It didn't happen overnight. So, brilliant. Thanks, Barbara. So moving on. We're going to just talk in theory about connecting with another guide, and then we're going to do an exercise. So when you're connecting with your own guide, you have now a protocol, a structure that's going into neutral, energy permission to connect with my main spirit guide. Perhaps you even know their name. For me, it's energy permission to connect with you, Darren. That's my main guide. Darren, are you with me? So you have that protocol. When you're connecting with another person's guide, you're doing the same and you're using alchemy, but you're just doing a slight tweak. So you're ensuring that you're working from neutral as before. So if I was going to connect with Barbara's main guide, I would ask energy permission to connect with Barbara's main spirit guide. And when I'm visualizing that Barbara, not another Barbara. It's that Barbara, not any old Barbara. So, because it's that Barbara spirit guide that I want to connect with. So, and that's intention, that's alchemy, because I'm visualizing, embedding that intention. Okay, and my energy is as high as my intention. Christopher's feeling cold. Like, he's getting a chill. So is it your spirit guide is right beside you? Is that perhaps?
I don't know, someone's breathing down my back.
Oh.
That worries me.
Something's breathing down your back?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not nice. Have you got your protections in place?
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, you will be you're protected highly from what we're doing in our circle. So it might be that your spirit guides sat next to you or with you, beside you. If you ask, one of the things to do is ask your guide to back off. So just say to my spirit guide, can you step away from me and back off? Just so that I can only feel my own energy.
What sort of happens is that I got a strong feeling about an old girlfriend. And,
okay. That might be other feelings coming through then.
Yeah.
So no problem. Okay, Christopher. So with this, all we're asking is energy permission to connect with that other person's main guide, and we're visualizing, yes, it's that person, not another person. Then you're waiting for that feeling of connection. So if you remember when we talked about that connection, they generally come in through one of your chakras, the feeling of like sucking them in or connecting. Normally mine comes into my solar plexus. So I'm always waiting for that feeling of connection through my solar plexus. When I feel I've got that connection that's come in, then I say to the guide, am I speaking with Barbara's main guide, as an example? And for me, obviously, I'm getting audibly a yes. But with your dowsing tool, you're going to start getting yes. So to Barbara's main guide, can you channel your energy through my pendulum? And am I connected to you? And that's what I would do, because you're channeling Barbara's guide through your pendulum or your dowsing tool now, not your own guide. So it's important to remember that when you're working with other guides, that you're channeling their energy through your dowsing tool, not who you started with. If you're moving across and talking with other people, other beings. So very simple, energy permission to connect with that person's guide, visualizing that person, and then feeling that connection, and then, channeling their energy. So please can I channel Barbara's guide or Joe Bloggs' guide through my pendulum? And to Joe Bloggs, am I now connected with you as Barbara's or Joe Bloggs' main spirit guide? Yeah, yes or no. So that's how you do it with the dowsing tool. Okay. And also you've got the ability then, because you're talking to Barbara's or Joe Bloggs' guide, you can ask them to pick you a card for Joe Bloggs or Barbara. So if you say to them, can you pick me a card, something that Barbara or Joe Bloggs needs to hear today, something that will help them move forwards, that's in their highest interest to hear. Can you pick me a card from this pack, or this book or this newspaper? Pick me some guidance from this newspaper or this book. And then use the same techniques that Barbara was taking you through just a moment ago. So just the same, but you just got that slight tweak, channeling a different being's energy through your tool, and off you go. So moving on then to the next slide, because we're running out of time. So we're going to do a quick exercise, but just for ourselves today. When we come to start the circle properly as a closed circle for guidance next month, we're going to be helping each other as well with guidance. So we're going to be practicing on ourselves with guidance, and we're going to be practicing on each other in a safe environment. it's really great fun. There's no rights or wrongs. You can't get it wrong. You can only learn. And, you know, and it's a way, the circle I run in my own group, I do it fortnightly. The improvement that people make from coming in a circle and practicing and learning from each other and trying different methods and development tools and stuff that we're going to be doing, they grow in their confidence and their abilities massively. It's a brilliant way to really kind of strengthen what you've got already. So for the purposes of tonight, we're not going to be working with a neighbour on our grid here this evening. We're going to be working with ourselves. So I want you to use the book, the newspaper, or the pack of cards that you have handy with your dowsing tool, and working with your guide. Just make sure that you're still in neutral, because it's been a while since we checked. So just make sure you're still in neutral. So to my guide, am I still in neutral? If you can just check that for me. And if you're not, just bring self forwards again. If you're somebody that drops out a lot of neutral, you're going to need to do some mind ego work probably. And that's something that, you know, will help strengthen your ability to stay neutral for longer. Okay, so when we've got ourselves into neutral again, and we're now working with our guide, we're going to ask our guide, what do I, as in you, what do I need to hear today that's in my highest interest? What do I need to hear today in terms of guidance that's in my highest interest? Can you show me through these cards or through this book or through this newspaper? Can you show me what I need to hear today that's in my highest interest? And then using your dowsing tool, so either start shuffling or finding a page that you're drawn to, flick through the paper or the book and stop where you feel you need to stop. And then ask them, is that the right page? Is that the right card? Ask them yes or no. So get to the right page first, the right card, and then narrow it down to the piece of information that they want to pass to you. Have a go. So Barbara, I think we can keep the recording on because we're not going to revert. Yeah. And so this is something to practice now as a bit of housekeeping each day, if you can, just to get better and better and slicker at it. And also buy in any tools you think you need if you haven't got the right ones. Okay. Cards are a lot easier. So Alison's got the Page of Swords. I'm not a tarot reader, unfortunately, Alison. So You won't have a book with that, will you? Do you know what that means, Alison?
I've got a little leaflet. So
Okay.
it tells you what the page is, and it tells you what the Page of Swords is. Apparently, somebody that I know, authority overseeing secret service, vigilance, spying, examination, and the qualities belonging to these activities. An indiscreet person will pry into my secrets.
No, it's incredible the guidance that you can get, the accuracy of the guidance you can get.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then you can ask questions on the back of it. So then, when you're given that kind of guidance and you say, is all of this relevant to me? And then you can kind of say, well, should I be doing something about that, or do I just need to let it pass, step back from it, learn from it and let it pass? Or do I need to release anything? Or, there's quite a few questions you could ask perhaps on the back of that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then that just helps you kind of with a bit of a plan to kind of move forwards.
Yeah, rather be in limbo. Yeah.
Yeah, bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. Oh, brilliant. I just want to share, Susan's written in the chat box. She had a card which was failure. And it said, I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. And that was very apt as she explores dowsing, which I thought was lovely. No, it's brilliant. Thank you, guys. So hopefully you have been given a piece of guidance that's more than a yes and a no, using the dowsing technique and with your guide and given something that's in your highest interest. There's something that you can go on and learn from or question a bit further. So we've run out of time, so I'm going to do a quickie demo on channeling. I'm going to do it on the basis, I think it was it Neil with Maldex? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Neil.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was Neil. Lovely.
Wait a second. I need to stop not stop. I need to pause.
That's
the
okay.
recording.
You can keep the recording going because I'm going to keep it general.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep it. It's not a personal thing for Neil. It's a general thing about Maldex, so that'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay. So just bear with me a sec while I connect in. So I'm going to be connecting in with, so I work with audible sensory communication, and so I can hear, if you like, my guide, my spirit guide, but it's not like whispering in my ear. It's a head thought. So it comes in as a head thought. It's in a completely opposite place to my own head thoughts, which is a process called separation. You learn to separate where your own head thoughts come in and where your guides come in. And fortuitously, they're in a completely opposite place. So that really helps you build your confidence when you're receiving guidance. And so it comes in as a head thought, but it's not my voice. And I can tell if it's a masculine or a feminine sounding voice as well. And I can take it word for word. So the being I'm going to connect with is called Archon, and he's from a celestial team that I work with. He calls himself, he's a light being and a universal architect is kind of how he describes himself. And literally he can sit you in his hand. It's almost like he sits you in his hand and he can kind of like tell you everything about you, your origins, your whole journey as a being up to from when things first started for your higher self to here, and how it all fits in, your purpose, what's good for you to do next. he can give incredible information. So he's particularly good at channeling. So I have guides that are particularly good. Some guides aren't very good at channeling and others are excellent. And so I work with him. Another one I work with, Inesi, who's on the Galactic Federation. He's excellent at channeling. So I'll tend to head towards the ones that are really good. And obviously my own guide, but my own guide doesn't have the oversight that Archon does of the universe. So Archon, are you with me? Lovely, I'm so grateful to you. Archon, we've been asked a question about the Maldex in terms of origin. Is that something that you can give me some insight about the Maldek species, the civilization, a little bit more that might help Neil Hawkins, who I'm looking at on the screen, in terms of his origins and, you know, a little bit more about where he's from spiritually. Would that be okay? Yes, so I'm going to channel Archon. He can talk very fast. So so I go at his speed and I'm literally just going to repeat parrot fashion what he's saying. Okay, and that's channeling basically. So Archon, can you yes, if you want to go ahead. Claire, thank you. I'm happy to speak with you about the Maldex, of course, and I hope that this information helps all of you that have a connection to the Maldex in terms of your origins. The Maldex are a very friendly race and civilization. They have had it harder than other civilizations, it must be said. They've been catching up in terms of technology and in terms of societal infrastructures, but they are at a place now that is ahead of this planet where you are now. And they've very much been learning from the other planetary systems around them. They've been sending their spiritual beings across this area to learn and take back information about the infrastructures in place so that they can also ensure that they have the strongest structures possible. There was a real concern with the Maldex because they have a very close affinity to the Atlanteans. They were a part of the Atlantis growth, I suppose, and they were students, I would describe, of Atlantis. They were learning in terms of their technology and their forward thinking. It was something that was helping them to grow at the time. And when the Atlanteans fell, this had a hard, huge impact on the Maldex. It set them back and it made them question their own structure and future. This was then impacted again by the Lemurian fall, and which also knocked them back. The Maldex have been a bit more of a passenger with the evolution of the universe in this area more than the others. Their strengths tend to be in more physical, practical activities. They're very much more hands-on, and this is something I think you would understand me describing. They're very practical and hands-on in terms of their interests, and they're perhaps a little bit old-fashioned in terms of their learning. They're a bit slower in terms of that learning, but they enjoy the practical side as well as the technological advances that are assisting the practical side too. They are a bit slower at transitioning more than other planetary systems, but they seem to be very cautious about making decisions and choices because of what's happened previously. Their presence here on this planet is generally, as I said, to learn and take things back with them in terms of the dynamics of infrastructure and relationships. also the relationships with other planetary systems and the support that they receive from other planetary systems is something that they've always relied upon, but of course are very wary of because of what's happened already in their history. Their interest in terms of the evolution of genetics has been a bit slower again than other people, but they are catching up. And there are very few Maldeks here in comparison to Palladians and Arcturians, who are plentiful. Maldeks are very few in comparison, but their numbers are increasing, and their general population is growing as their hybrid blends are increasing too. Thank you. Is that right? Lovely. So that's just Neil, did that, you caught all of that? Is there anything there that you can relate to in terms of who you are and your life?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see certain things in it. And I suppose for me, I wouldn't put it down as slow. I would say more methodical. And this is what I do.
Yes.
And I suppose I was in the building trade, and it's funny because I was in the investigation side of the building. So not literally building houses, but we were drilling holes, collecting samples and testing the soils to build houses.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah. But still very practical.
Yeah.
And that's testing other people's methods, isn't it?
Well, yeah. And I suppose in a way, what you were saying, I'll probably go back and record this and go through it slowly.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, he does talk a bit fast. I have to go with it.
Yeah,
Otherwise get left behind.
That down. It's very difficult. But yeah, I can see a lot of similarities in what he's saying.
Yeah, it's again very interesting. And when there's very little information about certain origins, it's the way to do it. It's just go in and ask someone that knows and gets the nitty gritty.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to try this because I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, no. Well, no, thank you for it's a good example. It was a good one. I didn't know what I was going to do with the demo, but you came on a plate. so that worked really well. Yeah, it gave me a good general question to ask. So yeah, lovely. Thank you. So just for the benefit of everyone else, although you're working with dowsing at the moment, this has potential for you to go on and channel. Channeling is a lot easier than people think it is, and it's not just the gifted that can channel. I truly believe that everybody has the ability to channel, and I think a lot of authors like H.K. Rowling, J.K. Rowling rather, I think she's channeling, whether she knows it or not. I suspect she might know that she is, but I think authors like her are channeling potentially. And I've worked with a lot of authors who are being fed the content. Very interesting. So channeling is an incredible thing to go on and do. It's got such potential. So you're touching like the surface, but there's so much more if you want to look at. So I just wanted to give an example of, again, the potential of what you're doing and where it can go. So I think we've come to the end. Have we, Barbara? We're doing the healing circle and finishing, aren't we?
Yeah. Right. So we are closing the night with our healing circle. And before we go into the healing circle, if you could maybe think if there is anything in particular you would like to receive healing for, or a family member, a friend, an animal, anyone, we are going to send it to the entire list. So if you have your intention set for the person or the animal. So considering we still have the circle Claire created at the beginning of the night, and imagine we are all still around and holding hands together, and this light, this power one, is still going round into the circle, and is still keeping having a bit force. So we are holding hand, and he's going fast, and focus on whoever you would like to send healing to, and repeat after me in your head or very much aloud as you are mostly muted, and trying to visualize at the same time what it looks like for you. Energy permission to draw in the light and power one, and to send it out to the entire group here tonight. And every single person you have in mind, animal, friends, family, that are in support of this healing, with the intention of sending it through right now to every one of us, and our friend and family and animal, with the intention of helping each one of them releasing whatever burden they are carrying, helping them healing through illnesses and discomfort, finding a safe balance and harmony. In alignment with each one of us and every person we are sending healing to, in alignment with the highest interest and across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And visualize this light reaching out to every single one of us, allowing us to have a nice, relaxing sleep. And every single person we send healing to, including animals, this light reaching each one of them. Keep visualizing. Ooh. And when we've done so, just imagine we are going to break. See, we're going to break this circle. And coming back to where we are, to our own room and our own space of reality. And I'm going to stop recording.